Yes. Those audio.
All right, cool. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. When we last left off, the party arrived at the Ergosian city of Hyarmen, a small dark elf village on the outskirts of the Republic. As the party expected going in, this area is a hotbed den of sexism, prejudice, and bigotry. The party has found themselves against their will, separated, categorized, and forced to make some unfortunate decisions regarding each other. The males of the party have formed something of a pact with one another that in the event of Lucien Alefikir's betrayal, they will see to President Aragos's death if it seems that Lucien is giving in to temptation and joining her brother in the Concord. Meanwhile, Lucien Alefikir...
Or if it's just needed.
Yes.
Amen.
Meanwhile, Lucien Alefikir has a borderline nervous breakdown at Caro's insistence that they realize that they do, in fact, possibly have feelings for the Sun Dragon Queen and should pursue this to the highest extent. That being said, as the party was bunking down for the night, Gil, Neon, Zephyr, and I think that's everyone. Yes, Gil, Zephyr, and Neon managed to uncover that the owner of the Sunken Scale appears to be involved in some way regarding the seeming rebellion supporting putting Lady Blackmont back on the Ergosian seat of power. Although whatever odd coded language they were speaking in that none of you could speak at the bar, your inability to speak it and Gil's answer seemed to displease them. But that being said, one way or another, you guys bunk down for the night. It is well into Taillet at this point. You guys are deep in the Underdark, well into foreign territory, and assuming you stick to the plan is to currently lie low, stay out of sight, and attempt to formulate something of a coherent plan before planning a presidential assassination or diplomacy, whatever comes first. That being said, as you all wake up the next morning in your respective accommodations at the Sunken Scale, what would you all like to do?
Well, technically, because, well, I
Zephyr, your
downstairs.
brother appears to be sleeping in at the moment, but you wake up relatively early. Do you have any plans for the day?
The moment I don't think. Can I make things go faster? Guess Zephyr's gonna spend some of his time just thinking just think of a plan to turn things his way.
Fair enough. Okay. Caro, Neon, either the two of you have specific plans for the day?
I'm gonna go back down to the bar and I'm gonna start drinking some more.
Valid. I believe, yeah, you guys already covered room and board when you got here, so that'll be that won't be a problem financially. So by the time the rest of you start waking up and making your way downstairs, Neon has woken up relatively early and appears to already be staring down the bottles of the bar, hoping to find answers to their problems at the bottom. What's up?
Never mind. I was just realizing that was metagaming. Never mind.
All right,
It's
that's
good.
fair. All right. Assuming nobody has anything specific at the moment, you all gather down at the um, quote unquote breakfast nook of the Sunken Scale. But from the food that is being served and the general demeanor of those around you, you understand that this is more their equivalent to dinner before bed. Most of the people in the Sunken Scale appear to be dark elves that are tired from a long day's work in the village and simply enjoying a meal before going down for the night. And as you can see the early morning sunlight streaming through, it's not hard to see why. You assume it'll be something of a adjustment for you guys to get used to the schedules of the people down here, but at the very least, by all of your observation, you may have at least some relative privacy, as most of the village will be asleep while you're out on the town today, if you intend to go out during the day. So that being said, is there anything besides Neon's drinking that you all would like to do just throughout the day?
So, what?
Yeah. I was like, can y'all hear her still?
No.
I think it's
Yeah.
What's a nightmare?
Yeah, she's got something she wants to do, but her phone's not being very nice.
Mm. Yeah, we've been there.
We're going to try sharing a mic again.
biggest problem is just they'll have two.
Yeah, and just one of them
We're
needs
not
to be
in
muted,
one
basically.
room.
But I was saying that was usually what the problem
We're
was
both
beforehand.
using headphones.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, Caro, what are you up to at the moment? All right.
So, I did have something I wanted to do.
Oops, forgot I was muted. Sorry about that. But you can go.
I was just going to say, it's very interesting that Amanda never showed up with that coin for the diamond yesterday. We don't know that.
And Gil's just saying this in front of everyone.
Well, in front of our group.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, I just meant in front of like everyone as in our group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carol will pull the little bag she got yesterday and just. She did. Here 'tis.
Oh. Thank you, Carol.
Yes.
And he'll start divvying up everyone's portion.
All right. Assuming you want to divide it between everyone equally, give me just a moment. I'll get that sorted.
Yeah, price it's 1,000 divided.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I haven't noted, so just need to grab it. Yeah, it was 3 diamonds if I recall, or was it 1 diamond?
It was just they only gave him one because I never gave mine away.
No, we only
Yeah,
sold one.
for 1 diamond. And then Yeah, for one diamond, the price split among the 6 of you, right? Yeah.
Be
So
7, I think. I think there's 4 here. There's 7 actually. 'Cause
yeah, 7. Yeah, good catch.
I said 6 at first. Wait.
Right. In total, you have 714 gold pieces apiece and 2 silver pieces.
700.
Each diamond was worth about 5,000. And then
50,000.
yeah, no, 5,000. So assuming Gil's dividing it equally, each of you gets 714 gold, and Gil, you can choose who gets the 2 silver pieces.
If it's okay with the rest, he will say this out loud. If he can have the 2 silver,
Both.
if not,
greedy.
someone else can have it. It doesn't really matter. You can say something. They'll catch you on my mind.
Yeah, you're right.
We're splitting the money. There's 2 extra silver.
One for you, one.
Okay, we got to vote for 1 for Gil and 1 for Lucian. Split.
For both of them.
No, like Lucian gets 1 silver and I get the other.
I know, but
That's what.
did you vote for?
Yes.
The split between the elves and Gil gets one.
Hello.
Oh,
That's a bit better. So I will need to mute myself.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
it's all right.
But I am back.
So first things first, Neon, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say you're gonna abstain from the vote. So,
Yeah, don't really care.
Kara, any preference on what the elves do with the remaining silver pieces?
Nope.
All right. And Zephyr, I don't imagine you care too much.
Madison.
All right. In that case, the 2 of you can decide how you want to split the silver, but everyone gets 714 gold. And that being said, Lucian, did you have something you wanted to do while getting up this morning?
Yeah. There were several things that I wanted to do that when I tried to say it because I wasn't being a bitch. But I would like to because I'm assuming you said everybody is basically going to bed now. And Lucian would probably know this since they're elves. They're probably just going to go to bed for like 4 hours. Is that right?
As far as you know, yes. They're likely just gonna try and wait out the brunt of the afternoon sun, and then come out whenever it's at least getting close to dark. The exact specifics of this is unknown to you, but you would at least know the elvish biology you share with them would likely have caused them to have a similar-ish sleep cycle, even if they have an aversion to the sun that you don't.
Okay. If that is the case, Lucian will probably stay down in the restaurant part of the tavern. Order some food or vegetables, whatever they have, and work on her book.
Okay. All right. So from the sounds of it, not too much planned for the day. So You all sit and eat, keeping your heads down and observing. Sure enough, as for you, breakfast, for these people, dinner passes. Most of them simply file out of the sunken scale to return home. And indeed, you can see the slow quieting and slowing of the bustle outside in the central village. You see that most of the dark elves who had been ordinarily populating it have been replaced by the small chunks of Saurian and Goblin population that seem at least less averse to the sunlight. And as the quote-unquote nightlife of Hyarmen begins to take over, the Dark Elves, seeming for the most part indeed to bunk down for the night, to be replaced by the reptilian creatures and goblins. Is there anything you guys would like to do as it is now the main afternoon of this Underdark day?
Yeah, do I see the tavern owner anywhere?
Yes, you see the Saurian still looking rather tired, although from the looks of it, he's about to close up. Not like kicking everyone out, but basically more, if you're not staying here for the night, then they don't appear like they're going to be serving anyone. And Neon, you do get a polite but firm notification that your next round will be your last, as this is the last call for the night.
Oh, totally.
You can go ahead. Okay. Well, Lucian is going to call to the tavern. Excuse me.
The tavern owner, at this point, after giving Neon their notice, is heading to the door to basically put up the sign that the tavern is closed for the time being. Turns and glances to you, their eyes looking incredibly tired and like they just want to sleep. They kind of look you up and down and just, yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to forgive me and my compatriots. I guess I didn't catch your name. What is your name?
He kind of tilts his head, almost seeming surprised at the question, and you see him kind of suspiciously narrow his eyes and glance to Gil and Zephyr at the table behind you. And who wants to know?
I'm going to cast tongues on myself so I can understand him if he says anything. And then I will smile nicely and I'll say, perhaps a threat, if that's, okay with you.
He narrows his eyes, and I haven't done nothing wrong. I haven't knowingly housed anyone I ain't supposed to. I'm just trying to run a business here, lady.
Look, I'm not going to, I'm not here to, recommend you. That's not what I'm here for. What I am here for is, did I see him looking at Gil?
Yes, although I will remind you, you were unconscious whenever
right.
Gil so you don't even know that he speaks in a coded language.
Yes, but I know Gil well enough to just say, I'm sorry for whatever my friend has said to you. He does not speak with his mind, if you know what I mean.
What do you want?
Nothing. Can a woman not just be pleasant?
You visibly squints disbelievingly at you, and just, I've already served you, and I can't tell you nothing you don't already know.
Well, all I wanted to know was your name. Is that so bad?
He kind of stares, and you can see him like judging in his head, like whether he wants to. Make me a persuasion check.
Ooh, okay.
Now he's not like
Let's see, what is my persuasion? 21.
He kind of gives a very defeated and nihilist. The sigh of a man that you would you almost get the vibe that he's expecting to be shot as soon as he gives the answer. But the name's Trot.
Okay. Does he say this in another language, or is this common? Okay. My name is Lucian. It's nice to meet you, Trot.
He gives you a small nod, but doesn't acknowledge you much beyond that. And Zephyr, as you stand up to leave, he calls after you and just, if you're gonna go out in the night, just be careful and make sure you're not out too long. I'm not responsible for anything that happens to you or your belongings while you're away. I need to sleep at some point.
What do you mean by that? Are burglaries often here?
Not particularly, just I know it's hard for outsiders, surface dwellers, to adjust to our schedule. He kind of hesitates a bit on the phrasing, but kind of like his lip curling a little bit to reveal his sharp saurian teeth. But we've been learning to adjust. I can't in good conscience just lock you all in here, especially when you're going to be awake all day. So he kind of gives a bit of a shrug. Options are limited, unfortunately. So
Do they sleep for 8 hours or 4 hours? Because as an elf, I only need 4 hours.
I noticed.
I automatically assume because they are elves, they only need 4 hours.
Yeah, it's so clever.
Yeah, they only need the 4 hours, but prefer to be out whenever the moon's out than the sun.
Not saying anything.
No, yeah, he doesn't stop you. He just more gives you a heads up. Like,
yeah,
basically, anything that gets burglaried while you're out on the town is your problem, not his.
If I was someone from this other store stole from me, it's your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking
yeah, more
care
basically
of me.
anything you left at the sunken scale. Like, yeah. Yeah, because, yeah, like he said, he can't just, like, in good conscience anyway, just lock all of you in here all night. So, well, all night, quote unquote. So, that being said, does anyone have any particular plans for the rest of the day? Neon, you are given one last bottle before Trot starts to close up for the night. The tavern is not locked, although it is no longer serving and likely won't be until nightfall. So if you have anything you want to do besides drinking, does anyone have anything particular in mind that they'd like to go do or see?
Until the shops are open, but I will stay here and read.
All right.
I can't do anything about it. I'm sorry.
That's just it.
Yeah. We're hearing the important parts. All right. Caro and Neon, anything particular on the two of you's agenda?
I'm going to explore the nearby area. Get a lay of the land.
Okay. Taking a Caleb approach, scoping the area out. Neon, what are you going to be doing?
That is a good question.
Carol wants him to go with her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Gil, do you have any plans?
I have a few.
All right. In that case, we'll circle around.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. I was just saying, like, in that case, like, we'll circle back to you.
Okay.
Zephyr, since you left first, where are you planning to go?
Well, I mean, most of the party's doing dumb shit. I should do dumb shit too. Could I scope out a few, shops like defenses or weak points?
Okay.
Most burglar. Can I sort them in order of most to least burglarizable?
Make me an investigation check.
Because of course we're all hurting for money.
I mean, well, money's fine. Not crazy. 11.
All right. You take the time to explore, taking a slightly different approach than Caro and Neon behind you, focusing on the various establishments, seeing if anyone or anything seems particularly vulnerable. Unlike Caleb, you don't get too many people directly commenting on your presence as unusual, although whether that's the fact that most of the Dark Elves are asleep, so you're mostly surrounded by more open-minded Saurians and Goblins, or the fact that, as Gil had suggested, they simply wouldn't be able to tell at a glance for you, is hard to tell. But either way, you are thankfully unbothered, but your search does not turn up anything you like. Most of these shops here seem to be relatively heavily guarded. Although from the looks of their equipment, you gather that these people are more meant to deal with animals that might incur on the premises than on actual thieves and criminals. Looking around, there doesn't seem to be a particularly harsh criminal element. So it seems like there is a very heavy guard contingent, especially with that fort on standby, but it seems like it's more meant to prepare against incursions from the surrounding dragons than it is from people like you. So unfortunately, you do not find any shops that seem particularly vulnerable, as this whole village seems pretty well patrolled and guarded.
That is disappointing.
Oh shit! Thank you for the raid. There's so many of you. Hi. But yeah, so that being said, Caro, make me a perception check with advantage since Neon's helping you.
Yes. I will. 1 second.
There's Neon.
I don't think Neon would help in this state.
No, Neon's not in the state for much.
Neon says, I will. I'll just die instead.
To be
Yeah,
fair, though, Neon's still physically capable of observing their surroundings.
no, the alcohol made me blind. It's a rare side effect.
There said the blind, dark or drunken blind.
Yeah, happens to everybody once in a while.
I got a nat 20.
Whew. Was that with the advantage or without?
That was without the.
All right. Well, go ahead and roll again, just for funsies.
Yep, that one was a 3. Good thing I got that.
All right.
That's the scenario.
Caro, as you observe, you find yourself more having to guide Neon along than Neon actually assisting you in your observations. But luckily, the environment during the day is one you're actually relatively comfortable with. A lot of the creatures currently around you are creatures that you feel somewhat at home with. Less of that foreign hostility of the Dark Elves and more the relatively open embrace of the Saurians and Goblins. As you wander the town and observe, you don't see too much that Caleb hadn't already reported. You see a few shops selling interesting things that you hadn't seen before. The fort does indeed look pretty heavily patrolled. But for things that you find that Caleb did not, in addition to the store selling that odd frozen cream, which appears to be closed at the moment, and as Zephyr had observed, the somewhat odd emphasis on guard patrols for such a backwoods area, you do notice a couple things. Firstly, as you are just kind of wandering the surrounding area, are you planning to stick to the town or also like check out the surrounding area?
I'll check out the surrounding area, see what's here, because we're probably not going to stay here forever.
Okay. So, as you wander, again, you pretty much confirm most of what Caleb had already told you, but one thing does catch your interest as you're helping Neon along after they stumble a bit in their drunken state. Caro, remind me, what languages do you speak?
Let me look. I can speak. Oh wait, no, that's not languages. I'm a fool. Sorry. 1 moment. I forget where it is on the cheat.
I could
There
speak
it is.
Dex 15.
Common, Goblin, Primordial, and Lovelender.
Okay.
/ Grown, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the point stands. And Neon, I already know what language you speak. So, Caro, as you wander the surroundings, getting a feel for the area, the first thing that strikes you as kind of unusual is you see 2 figures, both of them dark elves, which, first of all, unusual for them to be awake at this hour. And you hear them conversing in that same... you had not heard the bartender use it as you were upstairs at the time, but you hear them conversing in that odd singing bell-like language. Discussing relatively casually, although you notice one of them keeping a dagger well in hand and kind of cautiously glancing at people passing them by in the street, almost like they're expecting to be interrupted or assailed in some way.
Can I make a history check on the language they're speaking?
Yeah, go for it.
Dang it, my history's bad. I got a 6.
You do not recognize the language, unfortunately. It's beautiful, but unfamiliar to you.
I would like to do something.
Go for it.
I would like to call out to these strangers. Oi! Why do you sound so weird?
You see one of them kind of like nervously, like kind of twitch and fumble their dagger slightly, but they recover quickly and kind of like shelter it behind themselves. And the second one kind of glares at him, basically a sort of like, pull yourself together expression before turning their attention to you and returning the shout. None of your business! Move along!
Neon, why did you do that?
Why isn't I always curious?
She squints her big ol' eyes, and pushes him forward.
They were talking weird. So did the lizard guy at the bar. I was curious. They all act so weird.
He's just shouting this as he's drunk.
Yeah, they all act so weird when you ask them. Why do you act so weird when we ask you?
The two of them kind of glance to each other and seem like they're actually judging what they want to do before cautiously slipping. Like one slips into the alley that they were standing in front of, and the other, holding the knife, sheaths the blade and just begins walking somewhat rapidly the opposite way of the street from you, seeming like they're intent on putting as much distance between you and themselves as possible.
Why are you running? Was it something I said?
Neon,
I'm sorry.
You're making them upset?
They're making me upset.
Neon, you need to drink some water.
I need to drink, alright.
You need to drink some water. If you try to drink anything else, I will drag you back to your room with the glass of water.
Okay. The horror?
For an alcoholic, yes.
Fair.
It's good for you.
It's not.
Did I fill up my water skin?
Yes, you guys, between Lucian's spells and Zephyr's decanter, you guys have not been hurting for water, so yeah, you
Never used a decanter on them, so.
I acknowledge that, but Lucian's been going out of their way to keep everyone topped off, so yeah, I'll say you have a healthy amount of water to work with.
I'll pull up my water skin. Yeah, drink.
I will take a swig from the bottle and then spit it on Caro's face.
Caro just doesn't even react. Just, I lived in a swamp, you know that.
Got you all wet.
Just constantly wet with food on.
Caro's gonna like, is he gonna take another swig?
No.
Okay. Caro's gonna urge him to take another swig.
Like, come on.
I've had enough, don't you think?
It's water. No, you haven't.
We're all made of water.
Yes, now drink it. More won't hurt you.
Wait, what?
If you drink more, it won't hurt you since we're made of water.
I'm gonna start stumbling away.
Kara's gonna grab him. No.
Alright.
And this is just going to continue, so we can move to
Yeah.
Zephyrs.
All right. Zephyr, as you conclude your casing of the town of Hyarmen, and Caro, as you attempt to wrestle with Neon's lack of sobriety, Gil, you said you were the last person remaining who had something specific they would like to do.
Yes. So, are there any shops that are still open? Or are they all closed for or are they closed for the evening?
Taking a look around the town, leaving Lucien and Raccoon with Caleb still sleeping upstairs in the Sunken Scale. You peruse the town of Hyarmen a little bit. All of you generally within, like, not too far of a distance from each other. It's not a particularly big town. Looking around, you do find a sparse few shops open, but they are few and far between and seem to be mostly somewhat niche shops run specifically by the Saurian and Goblin population, and they definitely appear to be somewhat struggling for business and definitely not exactly the talk of the town by any stretch. Are you looking for anything in particular or just shops?
And shops, what kind of shops are they? Can I tell?
Looking around, some of them are written in a language you don't understand, but taking a look at what's being provided, you see a Saurian-run shop that appears to be selling potions, a Goblin-run pawn shop, and something that seems akin to an inn, but appears to be specifically for daytime dwellers, as opposed to the primarily night folk of Hyarmen. Although, again, all of these businesses appear relatively, poorly performing and likely just attempting to appeal to the crowd that's out in the sunlight. So you see small pawn shops and herbalists and that sort of thing, but nothing particularly that gravitates you.
Well, first I want to go to the potion shop.
All right.
There,
You have anything in particular?
I'm
Anything that
looking for poisons, quick-acting poison.
the Saurian looks at you somewhat suspiciously, but you are offered a dark elf developed poison at 200 gold a dose.
And how effective?
The Saurian, this somewhat hunched and pockmarked lizard, seeming like they're nursing some kind of infection with their scales. Their eyes are a bit hazy, and they appear to be somewhat unable to see, as they wear very large lenses over both eyes. But as you gesture to the dark elf poison, I will say, looking at it, you actually recognize it as pretty similar to that gooey tar-like poison that Lucien had encountered while traveling through the Underdark. They give something of a shrug, and it's about as effective as any other, and if they particularly take poorly to it, might just pass out where they stand.
Would it kill, or does it just incapacitate?
It's just meant to incapacitate. doesn't do any harm that a good night's sleep won't fix, but puts them in a position to where you can make sure they don't get that sort of thing anytime soon.
Ah. And you said 200, correct?
For a dose, aye.
So he will fish out 206 gold. The 6 gold is extra, just as like a nice little tip.
Alright.
As a
Which-
sort of agreement of, I didn't just buy this, keep your mouth shut.
Mm-hmm. Which he gratefully accepts, and whenever you make your intentions clear, he simply gives a nod. You lose 206 gold, but you gain 1 dose of Dark Elf poison. You can apply this to one of your weapons, or if the situation arises, apply it to an existing wound. And they will be forced to make any appropriate saving throws, which I have on hand. You don't know what the stuff exactly does, just from what he says, it's sickening and might cause someone to pass out. Is there anything else you intend to buy while you're out?
Next, I wanted to go to the Goblin pawn shop.
All right. Looking for anything in particular?
More rope, a sleeping bag, and perusing what they might have that could benefit me.
That's a bit of a big ask, but
From more power cells or something like that, or maybe slightly magical weapons, anything of that sort.
all right. Well, 50 feet of hempen rope will cost you a gold. What else was it besides magic weapons and rope?
The bedroll,
Yep.
because
Alright.
I gave it to the
To Lady Blackmont. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 2 gold, 1 for the bedroll, 1 for the rope. Although whenever you ask for magic weapons, the goblin kind of shrugs a bit helplessly, and their face covered in somewhat exotic-looking tattoos of various dragons. And sorry, not exactly a big market for magic items this far out in the sticks. You'd be better off heading up north for that sort of thing.
Okay. Fair enough.
But
What sort of things do you have?
Got a little bit of
Yeah.
everything for whatever
Just-
traveler passes through the area. Be helpful if I had an idea of what you were looking for. My shelves are pretty packed full, but got something in mind, big guy?
Things that are rare, hard to find, would look flashy to impress a lady.
He initially seems a little unsure and frustrated at your description, but whenever you specifically say to impress a lady, his expression brightens. And he holds up a hand and just, 1 second. And heading in deeper into the shop to retrieve something before coming back. He holds up a relatively nice looking necklace. From the looks of it, collar of sorts, almost like the chokers that you would see someone wear, with rubies studded into the sides. And he gives a smile and just, a lot of the women down here like this sort of thing. Catch your eye?
And how much is it?
He gives a smile and just, Well, if you're looking to use this to impress the ladies, and he kind of does like big air quotes on that, and is kind of looking at you with a somewhat odd expression, although you can't quite make out what the expression means or is like getting across. But he gives a smirk and twirling it around his finger in thought for a while.
I was gonna say he's gonna make sure to say, and I'm not talking about the guards.
Oh, well, can't do too much for you there. If I knew how to impress ladies outside of them, I wouldn't be running a pawn shop now, would I? He gives a wide open mouth smile. But he holds out the ruby choker and 100 gold.
And you happen to have any book on alchemy or anything like that?
Alchemy books. Now, is this alchemy or chemistry alchemy?
You have.
He gives a shrug and again running back into his shop to search around. He eventually returns to you with a book slung over his shoulder, and which he slaps onto the table. And you recognize it as a basic guide to chemistry, and tapping it with one of his clawed fingers. This is all I got. They don't exactly sell books on how to do alchemy, otherwise everyone would be doing it, huh? But if you're looking for chemistry, this would be enough to get you started.
Okay, I'll take the book. I'll take the book, the necklace, and I also need an outfit for a goblin girl, roughly. What I like? I want to describe raccoon.
Can't guarantee it'll fit, but if she doesn't mind secondhand, you're looking for something fancy or something more for day to day?
Day to day, but also looks nice. Like no hole.
Daring today. All right. I have some stuff in the back. 2 gold for the clothes, 10 gold for the book.
Okay. And he will put 100. You said so the book is 10, and clothes are 2.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for the clothes, he brings out a relatively humble but altogether nice-looking white breech shirt with some decorative hanging threads, and a worn but still functional and nice and comfortable-looking leather pants with boots to match. Overall, it's definitely the clothes of a traveler, and you can tell that they are used but don't seem particularly dirty or poorly kept. Anything else I can help you with?
No, I think that'll suffice. Thank you so much.
Happy to help. Feel free to come back sometime. And with that, Gil, I'm assuming your shopping is concluded for the day?
It is. And
All right.
he will head back to the...
All right. So, Zephyr, you return from your day of casing the town. Unfortunately, nothing of particular interest to report. Caro, you start making your way back to the Sunken Scale with Neon. content that they at least won't be drinking immediately, but still concerned about their growing dependency. But you, through your observations, did not find too much else that struck your attention, although you do occasionally catch other small groups of people, usually only like 2 or 3 together, talking in hushed tones in that odd chiming language, but who would immediately like try to surreptitiously scatter if you or Neon got too close or asked them too many questions. You were unfortunately unable to get any of them if you tried to admit to what they were talking about or even what language it was spoken in. But with that, as the two of you return, you don't see anything else that catches your immediate eye. And Gil, you return with your arms full of freshly bought loot, something you actually bought with money and didn't steal or hurt someone for. It's nice.
I know. Oh, like Gil's being a good person today. He gave business to poor places.
As you all settle back down, Lucian still nose deep in your book. It is about into the late afternoon now, and the Dark Elves are slowly beginning to awaken again. Most of them staying in their houses for breakfast or simply taking care of minor errands before starting on their actual work for the day, or the night, rather. And again, it's rather off-putting to hear the village getting busier as you're all getting tired and ready to sleep. But that being said, as Trot, the barkeep of the Sunken Scale, wakes back up and begins to prepare the inn for another day of business and make sure you are all served and have your room and board comfortable and accommodated, he is relatively curt and blunt while serving you, while he had initially been at least friendly if tired and distracted. But his whole vibe is getting increasingly chilly, although you can't still tell if it's overstaying your welcome or simply the conversations you've been having with the man. That being said,
I had a thought.
Oh.
Would, with his attitude after what he said, would it seem like he might be one of the rebels that Blackmont had mentioned?
You wouldn't really know. No way to tell just looking at him what side he's on.
Or described her. You ever see this person right here? Or, like, they look like this.
Yeah, and you can't tell just from species what side they would be on because you saw Saurians working at the Border Patrol who were clearly at least loyal enough to President Argos to capture and sell off Lady Blackmont, so it's
okay, then
hard to tell.
As we're sitting down, Gil will be talking to Lucian and will let slip the name Lady Blackmont, and that we're friends with her. Just quietly, but loud enough that they hear it.
Lucian kind of squints her eyes. You know we're here to lay low, right?
Yes, but
Feels like
there's
there is no but, Gil. We are here to lay low, so we're here to lay low. We do not throw the names around. We don't try to draw attention to ourselves. Are you capable of doing such a thing?
Just thinking that it could be beneficial if we join.
But it also could be hurtful if she's not on the side that you want to be on. there could be other people listening as well.
That's why I'm not yelling.
Speaking of, Gil, make me a stealth check.
What I want to kill for some coffee.
19.
All right. And roll me another d20, just flat. Like, just tell me what you roll on a d20.
Get caught and will be our problem. Probably.
Hmm?
3,
You
you
got
said?
a whole 2.
All right. Gil, you turn your attention to Trot as he's passing by, delivering prepared food to the guests of the Sunken Scale. And while you are confident you kept your voice low enough to not be heard, you do not notice anyone else in the tavern perk up or react to what you said. As Lucian argues with you, you do not see Trot react, although you can't tell whether they had heard you at all or heard you and simply chose not to react. It's hard to tell.
Well, on a happier note, Lucy, I got you something.
And who did you take it from?
No. I bought it.
Really?
Yeah. And
That's surprising.
And he'll take out the book and the necklace and slide it over to her. What do you think?
What is your motive?
I'm trying to be nice, and I know I'm an idiot. So I'm making amends before I do something stupid.
I see. And you realize this is a lot of times that you do something stupid, right?
Yeah. In my defense, they're all seems like good ideas at a time. I said at a time.
Okay, just let me understand. You think that throwing your sword against an electric fence is smart, and punching a wall that Officer Neon has deemed dangerous is also smart.
In my defense, with the fence, I had no idea it was electric. I didn't know. With the wall, I was careless. He's like an admit it.
She'll slide the necklace back. I can accept the book, but not the necklace.
Fair enough.
I think that you should give this necklace to Summer when you see her next.
He's thinking on this.
But I thank you for the book. This will help with my studies. However, like I said, I cannot accept the necklace.
He doesn't even hear that. He's lost in thought.
Yeah, you can kind of tell that his like eyes are doing like the dissociating thing. Yeah. And she'll kind of like take the book and slide it to her. On another note, how long do you suppose that we have until we hit the capital for my diplomacy act?
Well, we booked the rooms for a week.
Okay. So you are giving me a week to come up with something to say to the president.
Plus whatever time it takes for us to get there. But I was also going to say, just because we booked it for a week, doesn't mean we have to stay the whole week.
Well, I'm sure that there are other people in this party that don't want to stay here as long as a week. A week is a very long time, Gil.
Exactly. So if we leave, so if we leave before the week's over, people are going to think that we're still here. We leave, boom, we have an element of surprise.
But if we like supposed to go in the first place.
You don't know us very well, do you?
I know myself very well, but tell me, Gil, are you able to do this thing?
It's not just me, sweetheart. And he'll look over at Zephyr. So what did you do today?
This train of sight to Zephyr.
Asking Zephyr what he did today?
Yeah. Come on, he's a thief in a town. It's fairly sure he didn't just go and be a good civilian.
Well, what did you do, Zephyr? I was reading. That is something. Everybody does something, Zephyr. Unless you are literally in your room, staring at the wall, breathing, that's still doing something. So, what did you do?
Happy years, I did tell you I did nothing.
Yes, I do have ears. But I also have a conscience that tells me that you are lying.
Listen to whatever conscience you have.
Oh, there is something that I need to tell all of you while we are here together. I've been speaking with my brother, as you know. Well, I just wanted to emphasize that, I don't think that anything is going to come of it. However, I am trying to be at least a little bit discreet in my messages to him. Although I do realize that he is probably able to, figure out where we are without me telling him, because he is very talented. He always was.
Yeah.
But I worry that
you are a walking tracker.
That's what I'm worried about. I don't think that this town excuse me. I realize that this town is too small to have a magic shop. But hoping the next town that we go, because we were suggested to go north, the next town might have one. I need a few things from a magic shop, including probably something to protect us, or me, from him spying on.
Well, you as you're pretty much a walking tracker.
Yes, I do realize that.
How much
and I also, well, there are types of magic, Xavier, that can protect, and there are types of magic that can elude such
I know.
magic.
I know about that. What I mean is the the walking around with, I believe you still have that camera, so you're just.
Yes, but I have a deal for that. Yes, is that so surprising?
Less surprising, more than I doubt you heard.
Are you trying to insinuate that I am not able to make deals?
I mean, not good ones, but
She kind of like narrows her eyes. We will see that out of the nature.
But you're saying you made a
As
deal with the
far
brother.
as I am concerned, well, I've also made the deal with Lucifer, who, you know, is Lucifer.
So what was that deal that you're so confident?
Between Lucifer and me, or between me and the brokers? Because those are two different ones.
True. Whatever deal you're saying that is preventing, I guess, your brother or whoever wishes to find out where you are from finding you through the brokers.
I think you misunderstand, Sapphire. The deal that I have with my brother is something entirely different that has nothing to do with our location and all to do with his.
I simply said you walking tracker. You're saying that you have a
Yes.
deal with you have a deal that will prevent people from using said tracking device that you have on you.
Oh, you misunderstand. The tracking device, you mean the camera that I have on my stash, is because of a deal that I have struck with the brokers. However, I highly doubt that Lucifer knows or even cares about the brokers. Well, he might care.
I said, so you're making a deal. So the deal is with the brokers that they won't use this information.
It's not the deal.
Your deal makes less and less sense to me.
Tell you the details of my deal if you tell me the details of what is wrong with you. What are you looking for? Why are you in such a rush? You've not answered me before. So you answer me now, and I tell you.
I don't think about this. Yeah.
Okay, then mind your own fucking business. As you so put.
You'll go back to drinking.
Alright. Caro and Neon, what are the two of you doing while this conversation's happening? You're sitting at the table together, but if you have any particular goals or agendas or inputs.
Caro is forcing Neon to order water.
Forcing him to order water.
See, funny story. I want to walk over to the bar.
Caro's gonna walk over to the bar too.
And for the record, DM, I have a thing.
All right. Neon, as you arrive at the bar, the tired-looking and now very grouchy, although for reasons you yourself are unaware of, Saurian kind of glares at you from the bar and just, "Can I help you, sir?"
I have a question for you.
What?
It's a real whopper of one. Why are you so angry? You look so angry. What's the matter with you?
Neon, make me a persuasion check.
Can do.
Ooh.
I am not the best at persuasion, but I'll do it anyway.
Can I help him?
How are you gonna help him with persuasion in particular? I want you to actually like try and like add something to
Okay.
justify helping.
Not just
Since
help.
Kara walked over there, she'll also just like, yes, are you okay?
So I got a 16, and then the other, and then an 11. So
Okay. He doesn't seem any more comforted. In fact, seems a little more uncomfortable as Kara arrives. But you got a 16 in total, right? Like that's with your modifier.
yes.
Okay, just checking. He kind of glares at you, and whether it's his tiredness causing him to crack, or your like drunkenness kind of throwing him off his rhythm, it's hard to tell. But he kind of tosses his rag unceremoniously down onto the bar and approaches the two of you, and leaning across the bar, and sort of whisper yelling at the two of you. I'm angry because I have done nothing to anger the president or any of you imperialistic conquerors. I've simply been minding my own business and trying to run my shop. I've played by your rules, and you and your people are coming in here and asking questions, trying to put words in my mouth, thinking that I'm with those rebel scum. I have nothing to do with the rebellion, and you take the word of that back to your long-eared bosses. And he spits at your hands, Neon.
Okay, so Neon kind of looks like I guess genuinely like kind of hurt, like a close friend had just told them like they've always hated them their whole life. Yeah, like just straight like as if the words he has said have cut to Neon's emotional core. And I guess just responds, I don't understand. I'm just trying to help, and I'm just I didn't mean to kill those two, right? I just panicked. I pushed the button. I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I did it. I never crack under pressure, and I just did it. I just pushed the button. Now I can never go home. Oh, what am I doing here?
They're a breakdown now.
No, do we hear this?
Uh,
Do we hear this?
Kara's gonna pat
Also, you
Neon.
can definitely hear Neon whenever they start fully breaking down, although you don't know what instigates it.
Kara's gonna pat Neon on the back and just like, it'll be okay. Sometimes mistakes happen.
I had a promising career as a law enforcement officer. I was just going to help people. But no, I threw that all away the moment I got involved with all of you.
Kara's gonna look genuinely hurt as well.
Now everyone's gonna start crying.
Kara's not gonna cry, but she's just gonna just.
I wish I'd just stayed home.
I'm gonna make my way over to Neon and Caro.
The bartender, looking kind of taken aback by Neon's sudden meltdown, scowls as Lucien approaches and quickly makes their way to the opposite end of the bar to busy themselves with someone who's not the three of you.
Does not want to be a part of this.
Lucien, you are able to sit at the bar next to Neon and Caro without issue.
I'll kind of look at Neon. Is he like crying, or is he like full on nose bubble?
Yes. I'm not willing to get that in character over it personally because I have people at home, but yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
understandable.
fair enough. Fair enough. Lucian is going to um, go across the bar and get a napkin and hand it to Neon. So you've finally let it out, huh?
I guess so.
I oh, obviously you're not okay. Do you want to talk about it?
I just dead and I feel horrible.
I feel horrible too.
I just want to go back home. But it doesn't look like I'll ever be able to do that. Is this right?
Probably not.
I want to go home too, Neon. But I don't know if I even have a home to go to.
Oh, this isn't making me feel better.
Well, if it does make you better, home is what you make it. It's not a place. It's, your heart, I guess? Is that right? I don't know. It's always been a place for me, but I've heard it's just about your heart.
Bring out your heart and play.
I know that we all have our differences, Neon. But we are here for you.
Uh,
Do you want a hug?
no. I'll just. I think I need to take a nap. I think I need a nap. I'm gonna go take a nap.
Or you go take a nap?
I don't. I'll just go.
No. What are you going to say?
Neon suddenly just like gets kind of like almost like has just like a moment of lucidity for like a second, just kind of like, wait, what? Like kind of a feeling like, wait, where? Oh yeah, that's right. And then just like kind of scurries up the stairs.
All right.
For this road.
Neon vacates the bar of the Sunken Scale, leaving all of you not feeling particularly great. Somewhat sombering the atmosphere. Also, as
Hello.
Kara's gonna glance up to Lucian.
What was that about?
I guess Neon feels bad about killing those two people.
Yes. From what I understand, his cult or whatever,
Oh.
from
Cult?
it.
Yeah, you're part of a cult now. You didn't know?
I thought it was just a job.
Wow, that'll be a good impression.
Is it a job?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was a cult.
Oh,
Well, I mean, it's never mind. The point is he's hurting, and I think all of us can understand. I mean, all of us has killed somebody, and I do not want to kill people, but I have.
Are we talking about this here?
No, we're just talking. They're talking about killing people.
Kill somebody. What about
What?
Lucian just kind of realizes what she says and just goes, "Oh, not what I meant."
From across the room, Gil's going to just raise an eyebrow and say, "Laying low,
I'm sure they have heard of mercenaries. That's not
Laying
unusual.
low, huh? They say. Oh,
Right, Carol? I mean, mercenaries are a thing, right? Bounty hunters, maybe?
Yes, but it's kind of normal where I come from.
Okay, DM, would I know if it's like a normal thing in the retrospect of Yav?
Just the concept of mercenary work.
Yeah.
I'll say for fun, roll me a history check.
Okay. Let me pull up my...
Also, Karen.
Did
I
Gil
got
walk
you a
over
new
here, or
rope.
was he yelling across the thing, by the way?
He walked over.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Try
walking.
to specify that.
Yeah, my bad.
I was just assuming he was yelling.
No, yeah, same.
So what did you say? Sorry.
I got you your own rope.
What the fuck?
Did y'all and bro?
What?
Hello.
Yes.
Nobody
yes.
sent me a fucking message.
Well, to be fair, you've at least told me, like, unless you message me first saying that you can't make it, to just assume you will
I'll
make it.
let
So
you
I figured
know
you
if
just
I was
say-
going to be late. If I don't say anything, that means I forgot. Because I let you know when I'm late. I let you know when I'm not going to be able to show up. I mean, like...
Are you using my mic? Are you using my mic?
For context, we're in
Yeah, you haven't missed a
tavern.
whole lot. Like,
Yeah.
Like literally all that happened was Gil went shopping, Zephyr just scoped out the place, and Caro did the same with Neon, but didn't find anything Caleb hadn't already observed outside of noticing other people talking in that same kind of weird singy language that you guys heard the bartender talk in briefly. So
And Neon had a breakdown.
yeah, Neon's having an emotional breakdown in the bar.
Neon's been having an active breakdown the entire time.
Well, yes, but they've gone from a underlying consistent breakdown to a overlying burst breakdown.
Voice cracking, crying.
They've evolved into a new breed of breakdown.
Like, in the future, if I don't say anything, that probably means I need a message sent.
Okay. But yeah, so Lucian, what'd you roll for your history check if you're available? All right. In the meantime,
So where has everybody gone exactly?
We're all in the tavern right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually had already preemptively just said what Caleb was doing.
What was Caleb doing?
Since you guys were up most of the night, like scoping out the town and like getting settled in, Caleb, I've been sleeping in because it's only like the late afternoon, so there's actually legitimately reasonable hours. So, Caleb, you begin to rise. You can see the sun already beginning to set through the tavern window, but that doesn't surprise you too much. You were all awake pretty late into the night yesterday, Neon, you said that you were running upstairs. What does Caleb see since you would likely pass them, assuming you're actually heading to your bedroom?
Yes. He sees a tiny Triv Fox person, basically just, I guess, sprint at this point, like just sprint past him into their own room with the door slamming shut, almost as if they were trying to pull the door closed so hard that it would detach from this reality and spiral them off into their own dimension. Like, I'm talking, it would crack a window, maybe.
Yeah.
Like some real loud shit.
Yeah, it's really, really.
Like, if I could compare it to Eddie, just go for like 30 minutes.
But yeah, so it doesn't surprise you too much that most of the party had woken up before you, although seeing Neon run past you and slam the door in such a state is shocking. But you don't hear anything that would indicate a panic or anything you feel that is immediately physically concerning. From the sounds of it, the nightlife of the town of Hyarmen is beginning to kick in as most of the dark elves appear to be waking up, ready for nightfall to begin their work for the night. Caleb, would you like to join your compatriots down at the Sunken Scale?
For now.
Alright.
Also, that meme is Caleb whenever
I'm back.
Hello.
Neon just ran past him.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Lucian, what'd you roll for history?
24.
You know that mercenaries are a pretty noteworthy profession in Yav. It is very common for armies to Caleb, add 714 gold to your inventory. The money that you guys got from selling off that diamond got split among you. So Lucian, you would know that mercenary work is a very popular profession. Yav. Almost anyone who can
beyond having a problem.
Maybe.
Every time I click on Caleb's sheet, it says, "Whoops, you rolled a 1 in our authentication check."
Yeah, it might just be having difficulties at the moment. But yeah, you know that pretty much anyone who can hold a weapon and use it decently has at least attempted mercenary work in Yav. It's a very, very popular profession. Those who seek to go professional with it usually join the local adventuring academies to get licensed for more hardcore mercenary work that's more specialized. But you know, it's also not uncommon for local lords and nobles to pay off local toughs and ne'er-do-wells to do the heavy lifting for them, i.e. anyone who can lift and hold a weapon counts as an army.
Right. Okay. So, I'll say to Carol, don't worry. They'll just think that we're mercenaries, which is fine by me, I guess. I never really thought I would be one. I always thought that I would take on my father's work, which I guess is not too dissimple.
About this time, Gil, Lucian, and Caro at the bar, and Zephyr with Raccoon at the table. You all see Caleb beginning to descend, looking a little tired, having something of a bedhead, but otherwise they're at least put together and seem well rested. And Caleb, you see that the tavern is about as active as it had been when you first arrived, with the sun going down. And it appears that lunch is being served, and you see your brother and Raccoon at the usual table you guys occupy, with Caro, Lucian, and Gil at the bar, looking pretty somber and discomforted. Although whatever it is doesn't appear to be an active problem, you imagine it likely has something to do with the sprinting and panicking Neon that had run past you when you woke up.
Also, when Caleb looks around, is it mostly the lizard people because it's morning and so all the dark elves are asleep?
Like I said, it's more into late afternoon. So while yes, it is mostly saurians and goblins, you do see occasional dark elves that are essentially getting the equivalent of an early start. Although most of them appear to simply be grabbing food and then either returning home or waiting in the tavern for the sun to completely set before actually going about their day. So there is some dark elves, but a lot less than there had been when you first arrived, and it was the dead of night.
Alright, so Caleb's gonna walk up
Gil,
to the group and be like, "So, what happened today?"
not a whole lot. I just stayed in my room and read. I know that Gil went out. I was actually just about to ask him about it.
So why was
Yes.
Neon running back to the room?
He had a
Mental
breakdown.
break.
Everything that happened just kind of hit him.
A lot. Like, repeatedly. Seemed to hurt.
And
We'll go check on him in a little bit. Gil, I actually had a few questions for you.
Yes, Lucian?
This book, was it like a general store, or was it like where did you get this?
It was more of a miscellaneous store.
Okay, do you think that you can point me in the right direction? I have some things that I would need, and I'm also going to look around the town for some other things. But if you can tell me exactly where the shop is, I would appreciate it.
Are you looking for herbs?
No.
Or are you looking for...
Well, it has some herbs to sell. I don't reckon that they would take some of my herbs.
No, there's a potion shop.
Okay.
And he'll tell her where that is. And as for the miscellaneous / pawn shop, he'll tell her where that is. But that's the only book they have.
No, that's okay. I have some other things that I need to get. And I'm sure that there's a bookstore somewhere in this town. If not this town, then up north.
Okay.
With that, I will finish my water and I'm gonna go out on the town.
all right. Before you do that, as you guys have food and drinks served, Caro, do you want to bring the group up to speed on what you observed on the town, or are you going to keep that to yourself?
Carol is too busy thinking about other things right now, so she's not going to say anything about it.
Okay. So Caleb, you're pretty much caught up on everything Caleb would know. So, all right.
Well, she does want to say something when everyone else heads out. Not to the group. She's going to stay at the bar for now.
Okay. Well, you see Lucian gearing up to head out as they're finishing their water. Do you have a specific point you'd like to mention what you want to say, or what you have
Whenever
in mind?
everyone goes, leaves.
Okay. In that case, does anyone have anything they'd like to do? The sun is beginning to set, night is beginning to fall over Hyarmen, and that means dark elves.
Trouble.
If you guys have anything in particular in mind you would like to engage in.
Yeah, I want to go to those two stores before they close.
Okay. Caleb?
What were the stores in this town?
So you know that there is, you don't know what it is exactly, but I'll say for convenience that, there's an ice cream parlor. And Gil, and you were there for Gil and Lucian mentioning there is a potion shop and pawn shop that is run during the day, which is likely why you had not noticed them during your nightly scoping of the town. Out of the actual places of business, those and the Sunken Scale are the ones you are actually familiar with, although you do know some dark elves during the night will set up stands in the town square and sell things there. So that's the bulk of the actual shopping areas in this town you immediately know of.
All right.
Caleb, I am going out. Do you want to join me?
Caleb is going to be like, I think I'm just going to do my own thing for now.
Are you
I don't
sure?
plan on-
Because
I don't
last time
plan
you
on
went
getting
out,
in- I don't plan on
Well,
getting into any trouble.
well, the last time you went out, you did not seem so keen on that you were accepted. That's why I'm offering, to be with me. Because if you're with me, you are likely to not get talked about. And I don't mind running errands with you.
So I want to observe the town a little bit more. Make sure I've seen what the place looks like. Now I want to see what goes on in it.
Well, can you do that in my company? I promise I'll be good. She kind of gives like a playful smile.
Are you good at climbing tall buildings?
I once crawled up the tree in my mother's garden. Does that count?
To assume that climbing a tree is very different from climbing a building that wasn't meant to be climbed.
Yeah.
And isn't she still wearing a dress?
She is.
Caleb is just like, I think it'd be best for your health if you didn't try to go right.
Oh, come on, Caleb. I could probably do it.
Caleb is just going to leave.
Caleb
Alright.
walks away. What is it with you Tibedras and walking away? Jeez.
Caleb's gonna look for like the tallest building around that he could just watch the city from the top of.
Easy enough to do. The buildings themselves are not extraordinarily tall, so it's not particularly hard. Make me an athletics or acrobatics check, your choice, to get to the top of one of the buildings.
Caleb's not gonna do a very good job of that. He got a 6. He's not quite able to get a purchase this attempt.
Yeah. You do see some footholds that you imagine you could use to climb it. Although looking around, it's more a problem that you're not confident you could do this unobserved, and you imagine you would likely not be able to get away with that sort of behavior if you were spotted. However, I will say again, the town is not particularly large.
Is there a dedicated way to get up this building?
You do see
What is the tallest building?
The tallest building is another inn run by the daytime dwellers of the town. Similar in makeup to the Sunken Scale, although it appears to be a little more run down, likely because it does not receive as much business. But there is a staircase that leads up to a second floor, which gives you at least an overview of most of the town, although getting up onto the roof would give you a bit more of it. But I will say you do know from your first observation cycle that this is not a particularly big town, so really just being on the second floor gives you a pretty healthy view of a good chunk of the place.
Right. Caleb will see if he can work with that.
All right. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
While he does that, I would
Basically-
like it to be noted that when Lucian, before she goes out, she is going to take off the Shiva,
Stupid.
the
Always rolls low.
Shiva, fucking, what is the word?
It's
Holy symbol. Sorry, Amanda forgot the word for it.
Mhm.
She's going to take off the holy symbol of Shiva, and in her pocket she's going to take out the Marzana one and just kind of stand there and look at them for a while. Let Caleb do his thing while she decides.
I'm using something other than fucking D&D Beyond. It always rolls like sub 10 for some fucking reason.
No, I actually 100% get that. Like, most of my Friday group refuses to use D&D Beyond out of principle because of that.
Okay. Nat 20. First roll on a that's not D&D Beyond. Nat 20.
All right.
Now I feel cheap.
I mean,
Like, it's
All right.
that cheap not choosing to use D&D Beyond and not accepting the roll because it's low, and then my next roll is a fucking natural 20.
I will say, yeah, I'd personally consider that cheap. uh,
Because the first roll would have been a 12 thanks to modifiers, but
okay. Yeah, it could be worse. All right. But I will say credit for being honest.
I mean, his
That
passive perception is higher than I. Can I just use his passive perception?
yeah, no, your passive perception is always in use. Your active perception is more like basically like anything that like you wouldn't just passively notice. You know what I mean?
His passive is 17, so he's pretty good at noticing things in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
honestly, if it didn't roll a nat 20, I would have just been like, yeah, it's probably fine. But because it rolled a nat 20, it felt cheap. Because it's like, wow, that's just, like, that doesn't feel right.
All right, Caro, Lucian, and Caleb head out to do their respective errands for the night. What would you like to do?
Okay. So
Can I apply this roll to the next perception I get?
no, you can't say rolls like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say no. Sorry.
God damn! Now I wish I used it. I wish I had an inspiration. I could have just used an inspiration, but I care. I'll just use inspiration to roll on something else.
Carol's gonna gesture over to the bartender, or however you get his attention.
Yeah. No, yeah, that'll do. He kind of hesitates, almost like he's seriously bandying whether he wants to approach you at all. Like, can I get away with that? Can I get away with just not serving a customer? But eventually, his internal debate, he appears to have lost, and he begrudgingly approaches and just, yeah.
No, I don't think Carol ever got his name, so she's gonna just call him bartender.
Hey, bartender.
Bartender, do you mind if I tell you a story?
He kind of glances to see if any other patrons in the tavern need his immediate attention, and seeing that they don't appear to at the moment, he grabs a bottle and starts to swab it out, and just fine.
She smiles and just kind of clears her throat a little and just, well, once upon a time, there was an empty expanse filled with crags and rock. It was hot in the day and cold in the night. And the early frog people had no water to speak of. Our backs burned during the day, and we froze during the night. And we could barely get by. One day, a friend, a very powerful frog, stood up and cried to the sky. He could barely get his noise out because his throat was full of sand. But everyone saw his pleas and joined in him, enough to make the ground rumble underneath them. Eventually, the sky heard his pleas and cried tears of joy, for the children could never be heard before. And the rain came down, flooding the land into making it our home. Ever since I was little, she's gonna lower her voice a little here. I had a weapon in my hand to protect my home from people who wanted to take it. I would never support someone who would do the same.
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
Oh, a little camera.
Oh shit! No, where'd it go? Okay, there we go. Let me see, 1 second.
I need to get something I can roll dice on.
Okay, I got a 17.
He considers you for a moment, seeming initially just kind of bored by your story, but he eventually does find himself almost intrigued against his will. And as you finish your story and make that statement, he gives pause and taps his claw against the wood of the counter in thought and lowers his voice to whisper to you again the same singing melodic language. You do not understand it. However, Zephyr, as I do not believe you have specifically left yet, and your passive perception is high enough to hear this. Um, as you're sitting at the table with Gil and Raccoon, you're able to catch bits and pieces of what Caro says, but you are actually able to hear what the bartender says, and you understand it. He's speaking Draconic, and he says to Caro, who doesn't appear to understand, Caro, you just hear this melodic bell ringing.
Mm-hmm.
But Zephyr, you hear the Saurian whisper to her, "Bring them in to be judged."
So, how does Zephyr hear that? Like, he just hears the melody and understands it, kind of
Yeah,
deal?
you just understand this to be Draconic, a language you know. Um, uh, you know this melodic ringing to be the language of dragons, which you are fluent in.
Because he's a
Uh,
lizard boy.
it almost comes naturally to you. The melody is soothing in a way, and for a moment your mind flashes to that snowy field that you've been thinking about for a while now. But this melody brings you comfort and the fact that you can understand some degree of intent behind the singing. And he says it again in that same melodic tone. Bring them in for judgment.
Bring them in.
Well, I know this is draconic.
Yeah. You understand this to be draconic and understand what he said.
I wonder if I'm ever going to get to use Thieves' Camp.
Well, we could use it together, you know. But
Yeah.
We've never encountered a Thieves Guild yet.
Well, you all do know that Ergos was founded by a thieves guild, so maybe it might become relevant later.
I guess we'll call up to Caro as she trying to be alone. I'm like,
I'll say, Caro, what do you initially respond with after he says this? Again, you don't understand it. You just hear this music.
I'm sorry, I don't understand that language. Do you speak another one that I may know? I know a few.
He kind of hesitates and considers. And Zephyr, as you approach, you see his hand go under the counter, which I'll say, Caro, you may not know of this practice, but you easily could be. But Zephyr, you know for sure he has a weapon and he's ready to use it as you approach.
I guess I will approach it. I don't think there'd be any need for that action.
You with her?
Yes.
Are they about the same size, by the way?
Caro's actually a pretty decent amount taller than Zephyr. Like, got a couple feet on them. He looks to you, Zephyr, and repeats the phrase in Draconic. Bring them in to be judged.
I remember I told you about the whole deal. Like my guilt. But yeah, that. So it can Zephyr speak fluently?
Yeah. Draconic's one of your languages.
I know, but I remember I told you like he was never taught Draconic technically.
No, yeah, like that's why I was saying like it feels almost like this instinctual thing for you. You're not even sure how you know it, although your memory goes to that snowy field that pops up in your memories every so often.
Gonna be kind of like he's gonna try to like, I guess that's like in school, but it's gonna be choppy. Just start singing those little bells sounds of say playing kind of just again like seems he's while he is fluent, he's just sort of he's still trying to get the grasp of the language of language new and Draconic.
Yeah, you have like a semi-functional grasp on it. You're not like basically you're barely fluent, but not like you're not an expert.
I can be like speak poems of
yeah. Yeah, because if I recall, you had said you know bits and pieces of it, and can struggle speaking and reading it, but you can understand it.
Language language is not something I'm used to, but speaking electronic, but as far as judging, who will be judging?
He kind of squints a bit, although you get the impression he might just be instinctively reacting to your not exactly splendid Draconic. Kara, while I was gonna say like Kara, while like the melody the Saurian speaks is like beautiful and ringing, Zephyr's is somewhat off key and like out of tune, but it appears functional at least. And he tilts his head a bit at you, Zephyr, and looks between the two of you. One of you roll me persuasion with advantage. You can pick which.
I don't think my persuasion is for you.
You can. Kara, you're the one mainly talking. My persuasion is +1. So.
Mine is 2.
Oh my god, neither of you are very charismatic.
Hey, it's okay. I got a good roll. I got a 19.
There you go.
Okay. What were both rolls? Just so I can factor it in. It was
19 and sorry, let me look back at it. Like, do I put the plus on the other one too?
Yeah.
Like 12.
Okay. He kind of squints a bit at you, Zephyr, but his gaze at least is like becoming less harsh. He looks to you, Caro, and he stares at you for a while. He stops and scans the sunken scale. What he's looking for, you can't tell, but he eventually turns his attention to you, Caro, and says, in Lovelandish, the language of your people, this croaking, throaty tongue. Can you understand me?
Carol gets a wide smile and just nods.
He kind of squints at you and looks to Zephyr and back to you. He's with you?
Yes.
He kind of glances around the bar, trying to judge how much privacy you'll be getting, and seems a little discomforted by the amount of dark elves populating it. So leaning back against the bar, he nods to you, Caro, and in Lovelandish, "This'll have to do. Pass it along to your friend, however you see fit."
Okay.
I'll say, for the sake of convenience, Caro, do you want to just assume you're translating for Zephyr automatically?
Yeah.
Okay, just
Well,
specify if there's anything.
in hushed tones.
I know, of course, goes without saying. But yeah, so just let me know if there's anything you specifically
Wait,
don't
what?
want Zephyr to pass
What
on.
languages do Zephyr know? Do we have any common languages?
Nope.
Dang.
No,
Dang
both no
it.
comment.
No, not that one.
Yeah, bad idea. He gives a slow nod and nodding to you, Caro. He continues in Lovelandish. "If you're with us, why are you traveling with the Elvish Imperials? The big one with the tattoos tried to place me under arrest yesterday."
What? You? Place
Wow.
Like, you know,
Carol looks puzzled, and she's the first time we just got here yesterday.
He
We traveled across the wilderness.
He glances to Gil sitting at the table with Raccoon, and back to you, Caro, and kind of like squinting and snarling slightly. "I thought you were mercenaries here to crack down on..." And he gives a quiet nod.
Oh, yeah. Carol nods solemnly, not like in response, just like understanding. But just no, I would never want you to not have your dragon. I think they're awesome.
He squints a bit, and again, Zephyr, for so basically, assume Caro is passing all this along to you, and vice versa, so you can communicate as well.
So I send you a message, Matthew, whenever you have the time.
Yeah. He glances and... "What exactly do the two of you stand to gain from going after Miss Ergos?"
Well, Carol gets a like kind of grim look, and just she's with people that are our enemies. They have been for a long time.
His nostrils kind of flare, and I suppose that explains a few things. Your friend may speak the tongue, and you may be able to understand the lesser-spoken tongues of the Underdark, but how can I trust that you and your friends are not spies?
Carol considers. Let me take a quick look-see on my items.
Do you tell this to Zephyr?
Yes.
I will talk in Draconic, all out of tune. Gotta get be a tuner, man. Just like
He basically talks like a character in like an 8-bit game.
Yeah. Yeah, so Zephyr, what do you say?
And Draconic, if we were spies, then we wouldn't have gone the actions we have. I guess he'll pull out eyes of Charming that he got from, or that he borrowed from his brother to identify, and he'll put it on the table. This item seems to be able to charm with limitations, but limitations aren't easy. But nonetheless, I could have use this to mediate the process if that was my job.
His expression is hard to read, but he does seem to be listening, and he turns his attention to you, Caro, as you're digging through your backpack. Do you find anything?
I don't find, because like I lost my stuff from Blackthorn and stuff. And damn it! But she looks back up. Just, I don't have anything that can prove that, I guess. But you know the rebel leader, right? I know you're not associated with her or anything.
Her.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't happen to know her name, would you?
Her name is like, oh shit.
You're Aurora Blackmont.
Yeah. Her name is Miss Blackmont.
First name?
Aurora.
He glances to you, back to you, Zephyr, and then back to you, Caro, before.
You may or may not have busted her out of jail.
Killed some people for her.
Hurt some guards.
Yeah, escorted her all the way over here.
Travel.
He gives something of a snarling grin as the two of you swap this. He's able to catch snippets since he speaks both languages, and seeming to actually relax, he gives a slow nod, and the rest of your friends, the boy, the elvish girl, the tattoos, the goblin, and the little fox man, they're all with you?
Yes, that's actually why Little Foxman is bad. he killed the guards when he works for people that don't kill.
I'm afraid I wouldn't know much about that sort of thing, but he gives a slow nod and again kind of glancing around, almost constantly checking to see if you're being listened in on. And eventually giving a quiet nod. Fine. I am with the rebels. I intend to help Lady Blackmont take back her seat on the surface world. Her father was a good man, left us to practice as we wished, and kept the surface on the surface.
Carol nods in agreement to that he was a good man.
If you would see Lady Blackmont restored and Miss Ergos deposed, then I suppose we're on the same side.
Yes, yes.
Understand, if the guards find out, I can't be associated with any of you.
That's okay. It's the same way with Lady Blackmont, so we don't give her away or anything.
She's here in the town.
Yes, yes.
Possibly.
He kind of nervously taps his fingers against his side and taking a deep breath to steady himself, like almost like he's certain you're all going to pull weapons on him and fire the more he says, but keeping himself calm, he looks to the two of you and again speaking in Lovelandish, but Caro translating for Zephyr. We're planning to have a get-together soon. Lady Blackmont has a plan, and if she has decided you all are trustworthy, then I'm willing to extend that trust.
I can get my baby back.
He gives a bit of a smile, and there's going to be a hurricane passing through this area soon.
Well,
He gives a nod. 8 days before the storm hits Hyarmen. The cities will flood. The streets will be waterlogged, which means the guards...
Carol looks extremely happy about this.
Like, wow. Water?
Yes. Waterlogged? So I get to swim? Oh, yes.
He smiles again, seeming to brighten up a little bit with the two of you, seeming a little more bright-mooded. Yes, with the city flooded, the guards won't be able to do their usual patrols, and we'll all be trapped. And he does air quotes when he says trapped, within the tavern, which means we can all discuss matters frankly, without interruption or question. He looks to you, Zephyr, and you bought rooms in town for the week. If you want to be here for the meeting, I can happily add a couple extra days to your stay so you can be here for the meeting.
Yes.
Well, we shall see. Sure, if we staying there. We're not exactly.
You speak the tongue, and Lady Blackmont considers you an ally. If you don't consider yourself a rebel, that's not my business, but I suppose the guards will see it however they choose to.
Oh.
We're going to try to get rid of their leader either way. We're rebels whether we like it or not.
But if we're caught,
If we're caught, then you don't know us, Zephyr. It's okay.
I think Carol's
Getting
already.
caught.
Carol's already joined.
Getting
Where do I
caught
start?
won't be an issue. Once the hurricane hits, I'll usher any guards or Imperial loyalists out of the tavern. Tell them to get home before the streets flood. Anyone left will be on our side.
Carol nods.
He gives a sigh, and Lady Blackmont says that in her travels she has discovered a secret weapon of sorts that can be used against the president. A way to get to her directly without having to fight our way past her armies.
Ooh.
Speaking my language.
Would have been nice to know.
She wasn't going to tell us while we were traveling. Unless our group. Woo!
Yeah. Hey, perfect strangers that I met a week ago who have been constantly infighting and insulting each other the whole time. Here's the entire plan that my rebellion hinges on. He
doesn't really know she could trust you.
Yeah, as we've already ruined one of her plans.
Yeah.
Well, we helped her make her new one. Well, not new one, but helped her get to the place she needed to be, at least.
Mm-hmm. But at your interest, Zephyr, he gives a smile, and indeed, we're not warriors. Most of our warriors did not survive the initial incursion of the thieves. All we have left is anyone who can hold a blade and is willing to fight. Which means we need to get those who can fight to her quickly, and they can't do that if they're completely outmatched by Dark Elf Inquisitors. If Lady Blackmont's plan bears fruit, it can get her and a small group past their defenses straight to the President, where she will be alone and as defenseless as any noble ever is. It may be our best chance.
Yes.
We'll see.
Well, if you know of the lady, you speak the tongue, and you haven't had me shot yet, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, although I will be running your story past her ladyship to ensure that your story holds water. Assuming it does, then your rooms will stay available to you until the storm comes.
That is
Yes.
fine.
Well, much as I thought you were all Imperial Loyalist dogs, but a few hours ago, I do hope to see you all there. We could use people like you on our side. And he kind of hesitates and looks to you, Caro, and you don't speak the tongue, do you?
No.
Well, if you're going to be helping us, then there is one important thing you should learn.
Yes.
How we greet each other. It's how we're able to identify each other and tell ourselves apart from the Loyalists. And he sings the phrase you had heard him sing earlier, Zephyr. Bring them in to be judged. And this time, he says a second part that he had not said the first time. And let the sinners run free.
Carol will try to practice this. Can I do a performance check?
Yeah, go for it.
12.
Yeah. Zephyr, from what you can understand of Draconic, even by your standards, Caro's accent is awful, and the melody is very off-key and out of tune, but it's at least recognizable as what she's attempting to say. And he kind of winces a little bit, but gives you an approving nod. And
I will practice more.
the first part is to test if someone's on your side. If they give the correct response in the proper tongue, that means they're an ally and you can trust them.
Phrase, yeah.
Carol nods. I will practice so I can do it right.
Of course, just make sure you practice quietly, miss.
Yes.
Gives you a nod, Zephyr, and a smile to you, Caro, and finally loosening his grip on the crossbow under the counter, he gives a small bow and...
Oh wait, before you go, can I have a what did you give Caleb?
Lemonade?
Yes.
Of course, miss. And as he places a cask of lemonade in front of you, he gives a nod to you and speaks to you in Draconic, a new phrase that you don't know, Caro, but Zephyr, you understand it. The last thing he says before he turns and walks to the other side of the bar to serve the other customers. May your ancestors guide you.
Oh.
Caleb.
Yeah.
It is getting close to nightfall. And thankfully, from your high up position, it's a bit of a struggle to see, as you do not have any natural dark vision like the dark elves themselves do. But you are still able to pick up on things, routines, patterns. This is a relatively small town, and everyone, as you're pretty familiar with, Rosewick is very similar despite being a bigger city. Everyone seems to have something they need to be doing. Outside of the occasional child, you don't see anyone doing something that is out of the ordinary or like catches you as suspicious. Mostly setting up stands, taking down stands, selling things, buying things. Relatively simple small town life. However, in your observations of the town over the course of several hours, you are able to spot a few trends that catch your eye. You see the occasional small group, 2 or 3 people, but never more, whispering to each other in small hushed tones before stopping and dispersing whenever a patrol of Ergosian guards passes. Speaking of, you notice that patrols are much more intense than you had noticed when you first came in. It doesn't seem like they're on high alert. It just hadn't really occurred to you just how many patrols you saw on a day-to-day basis until having this bird's eye view of the town and just seeing how many guards there are for such a small town. For such a small place, there's easily like you'd estimate just from a very quick head count, probably like for every about a guard for every 2 civilians.
Wow, that is seriously guarded.
Which, yeah, you do notice the fort within walking distance of the town. But again, cautiously observing their behaviors, they don't seem on high alert. More, this just seems to be the typical patrols for such a small place, which again is kind of disconcerting. But beyond that and the odd behaviors of those small groups, you don't see anything that immediately catches you as concerning. And with you in such an elevated, out of the way place, and again, the place you're in being closed, and most of the dark elves not giving it business anyway, you are thankfully unbothered through the entirety of your observation. Is there anything you'd like to do as your few hours of observation go by, or are you content to just study the patterns?
It's getting dark now, and it's harder for people to see. Can he see like maybe a window that he could use to try and get to the roof from? Now that it's dark and he'd be unseen.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah, there is absolutely a window you could climb to. It's going to be a little tricky to make that climb in the dark, but you think you could probably do it. Make me an athletics or acrobatics check, your choice.
Okay, it's going to be 18.
All right. Taking your time, confident that you will not be observed now, with the darkness shrouding you, you begin to work your way up, using the window as leverage onto the roof of this 2-story inn, which gives you a relatively unobstructed view of most of the town. You estimate this would be a good sharpshooting position if the need arose.
Is there anything else he can observe now at this better position?
I'll say make me a perception check with advantage.
Okay, advantage. Okay, thank God for advantage.
Yeah.
So that'll be with his +7 to perception. That'll be an 18.
All right. You.
Those pluses, man.
All right, crouching down to keep yourself hidden, your weapons slung over your shoulders, you cautiously observe from your bird's eye view. You don't catch too much that you couldn't see from your earlier position, although it gives you an even more unobstructed view of how closely guarded this town is.
Areas in particular that look even more heavily guarded than others.
Looking, you see that most of the guard patrols tend to encompass places of business and the route between the town and the fort. Looking at the guards, just kind of general demeanor and kind of gauging the behavior of the townsfolk you've observed, you gather this patrol is likely for one of 2 reasons, possibly both. Either meant to quash and unsettle any potential rebels in the area, and or given their for all this patrolling, you don't see them actually arrest anybody, and given that they seem to be protecting areas, you imagine it may also be just being prepared for potential dragon incursions. As you know, the carnivore nesting grounds is only a few days away. So you gather that for all of how well guarded it is, most people actually don't seem completely put off by it, aside from those small groups that, again, just simply disperse whenever a patrol's coming close.
Does Caleb have a pretty good idea of, like, the timing of the patrols and all that?
Yeah, I'll say with several hours of observation and rolling pretty well. Yeah, you feel like you have the patrol routes relatively well committed. They seem consistent, if nothing else.
So there was nothing else he could observe?
Yeah, not that catches your eyes immediately concerning. Again, with the area relatively dark, you feel like you've observed everything you're going to be able to. But again, having the guard patrols more or less figured out is a comfort factor.
So Caleb's only been up for like a couple of hours. He's probably just gonna watch for a little bit longer.
Okay. Lucian, as Caleb takes to the rooftops and Caro and Zephyr make their plans with the bartender, as Caleb is still making his early observations, and you stare at your religious symbology, what would you like to do?
So whatever is going on in her head, she closes her fists around the Shiva symbol and puts it in her pocket and dons the Marzana symbol. Takes a deep breath and heads to the stores that Bill had described to her.
Okay. Since you're hitting them in the late afternoon, you catch them right around closing time, which seems to irritate them slightly, but they serve you anyway. What would you like to buy?
Okay, so the for the apothecary, I would like to see if they would buy the poisonous mushrooms that I have.
Okay. Which they actually seem like they'd be more than happy to. They at an initial price gauge, the initial sell price they give you is 50 gold for each mushroom.
Can I insight to see if this is a good deal or not?
Yeah, make an insight check.
Ooh. Into Beyond. Come on, load. I don't know what my pluses are, but I rolled a 9.
Okay. I'll double check for you. Insight. Okay. Yeah, they seem to be honest that this is a fair price. Honestly, it's better than what you were expecting for a bunch of mushrooms.
All right, so 50 gold. I will go ahead and take that.
All right.
Mushroom.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I was gonna say how
I
many
have it
mushrooms
written
do you
down
have?
here. I have it written down here. Hang on. It was a few times ago. Let's see.
Okay,
And it is pouring.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, yeah,
there was a
Hang on.
They said there's a hurricane coming.
Matthew, don't joke like that, because
This
that's
was
a
before
legit thing that
that.
can happen.
I mean, it's what's gonna happen.
I have 3 clocks.
All right. So that's 150 gold. If you're willing to sell all of them.
Yep.
All right. The Saurian happily takes them. What else do you want to do while you're out shopping?
I would like to go to the pawn shop.
Okay.
And I want to see. Okay, you said it's like a goblin manning it.
A goblin wearing lenses, and several exotic tattoos on their face.
Tell me, what kind of magic items could I get here from you?
I don't deal in that sort of thing, miss. Sorry.
Let's just say I have a lot. are gold.
And let's just say I don't have a lot of inventory. Magic items don't just crop out of the ground, miss.
No, they don't. Okay. A friend came to me and told me that you had this book, and I'll like show him the alchemy book. Is this the only book that you had?
And he does air quotes, alchemy, yes.
Do you have any medical books?
He tilts his head. I have a few, gathering dust in the back. What kind are you looking for?
Anything by Lucien Elefiker?
He tilts his head and raises an eyebrow, and giving a shrug, hops off and goes to scamper around in the back.
While he's doing that,
books.
Can I like take a look? Like, can I just like gauge? Like, is that like everything out, or
how do you mean?
like is everything like set out? Like when you go to a pawn shop, everything like set out.
Oh yeah, everything's just on like small, cramped, and dusty wooden shelves.
Okay, while he's back there, could I just take a look around and see if anything seems magical to me? If he's like lying to me?
An Arcana check.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, excuse you. I'm not even like moving from where I am. I'm just looking with my eyes. So that would be an 18.
All right. Scanning through the pawn shop quickly, as you do not know when he'll be returning. You don't see anything that catches your eye as innately magical. Everything seems like relatively small. You see, hangers of used but still wearable articles of clothing. You see some dusty bookshelves with equally dusty books. Some small knickknacks and traveling equipment, but nothing that catches your eye as magical. The closest you see that even might be magical is some cards and bones that you recognize as being tools for divination, but even then it's more the person using them than them being innately magical themselves for the most part.
So I want to get the cards. I'll get the cards and I'll bring them to the front.
All right. He eventually returns, kind of shouting before he's even within line of sight. Don't have any Alefikia books, but I have quite a few about head trauma, a couple about how to heal ruptured spleens, and this general book of goblin anatomy.
Actually, that does sound interesting. Could you give me the goblin one, please?
Yeah, sure. And you hear a few. Hello, me again. We have got to stop meeting like this. We had a technical issue, power outage, at the very end of this recording, but we decided to just call the stream there since we were getting close to our end time anyway, so you didn't miss anything. I just wanted to explain the lack of a usual outro, so I will be doing the outro here instead. If you want to see more of my DMing, check out twitch.tv/GrahamCrackers, GrameCrackerz, for my Friday campaign, The Goldshine Investigations, at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Check out our website at officiald5hub.info, down for maintenance at the moment, but for when it is back up, keep an eye on it. We do have a D5 Discord server. Just shoot us a message on any of our socials if you want to join it and hang out with us directly. And please support our episodes posted on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. And for our audio listeners, catch us live on Tuesdays at 9:30 Central Daylight Time on twitch.tv/OddTornadoProductions, and check out Odd Tornado Productions official on Tumblr to find links to anything else we're doing at the moment. Thank you so much. I apologize for the string of technical issues. I promise they are getting sorted, and hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.